She found him rejected and left to die with his twins, unaware he was the Alpha King. Welcome to the story, King, where every tale rules your heart. The blood trail led straight to her doorstep. Isla froze, her groceries slipping from her hands as she stared at the crimson path streaking across her porch. Her cottage stood isolated at the edge of Thornwood Forest, miles from the nearest village. No one came here, ever. Her wolf stirred uneasily inside her. Danger. But then she heard it, a sound that turned her blood to ice. A child's whimper, weak and fading. Isla didn't think. She burst through her door and stopped dead. A man lay collapsed across her threshold, his massive frame barely fitting through the doorway. Blood soaked through his shredded clothes, claw marks raking across his chest and back. But it wasn't him that made her heart seize. It was the two tiny bodies clutched protectively in his arms. Twins, no older than 3, their small faces pale and streaked with tears and dirt. "Mama," one of them whispered, reaching a trembling hand toward the unconscious man. Mama said, "Run." The little girl's eyes rolled back, and she went limp. "No, no, no." Isla dropped to her knees, her healer's instincts overriding everything else. She pressed her fingers to the child's neck, faint pulse, but there. The boy beside her was the same, barely clinging to consciousness. The man's eyes suddenly snapped open, and Isla gasped. Even dulled with pain, they burned with an intensity that made her wolf submit instantly. Gold, pure molten gold. His hand shot out, gripping her wrist with surprising strength. "Don't take them." His voice was a broken rasp. "They're everything. I'm not taking 'em anywhere," Isla said firmly, meeting those fierce eyes. "I'm a healer. Let me help." His grip loosened, and his eyes fluttered closed. "Vera, she's gone, betrayed, had to run." Then he passed out completely. 3 days. For 3 days, Isla worked herself to exhaustion. The children had been drugged with wolfsbane, not enough to kill, but enough to keep them weak and compliant during what she could only assume was an escape. The man's injuries were extensive, silver wounds that refused to heal, broken ribs, and a gash across his back that looked like someone had tried to rip his spine out. Someone had tried to kill them. All 3 of them. "Papa." Isla turned from grinding herbs to find the little girl, Mira, she'd learned, sitting up on the cot. Her brother, Eli, was still sleeping, but his color had returned. "Your papa is strong," Isla said gently, moving to kneel beside her. "He's going to be okay. The bad men hurt Mama." Myra's lower lip trembled. "They said Papa wasn't supposed to be Papa anymore. They said Uncle Theron was going to be the king now." Isla's hands stilled. "King, Mama told us to run," Mira continued, her voice small. "Papa carried us. He fought so many wolves. Then Mama fell down and didn't get back up." Isla's heart clenched. She pulled the little girl into her arms as sobs racked her tiny body. Over Myra's shoulder, she looked at the man lying in her spare bed. Who was he? He woke on the 4th night. Isla was dozing in her chair by the fire when she felt the shift in the room's energy. Her eyes flew open to find him sitting up, those golden eyes fixed on her with an intensity that made her breath catch. "The children." His voice was stronger now, but edged with panic. "Safe, sleeping in the next room." Isla stood slowly, keeping her movements non-threatening. Up close, even weakened, his presence was overwhelming. Power radiated from him in waves. "They're going to be fine." The tension in his shoulders eased fractionally. He closed his eyes, and she saw his lips move in what might have been a prayer. "Thank you," he said finally, opening his eyes. "You saved them. You saved me. Don't." Isla held up a hand. "Don't tell me who you are." "Not yet." His brow furrowed. "Why?" "Because whoever tried to kill you will look for you. And when they do, I need to be able to honestly say I don't know who you are." She crossed her arms. "I'm not part of pack politics. I'm a rogue healer, and I'd like to stay that way." Something flickered in his eyes. "Respect, maybe. You're protecting yourself." "Smart." I'm protecting those children, she corrected. They've been through enough. He studied her for a long moment, and Isla forced herself not to squirm under that golden gaze. Finally, he nodded. You can call me Marcus. She knew it probably wasn't his real name, but it didn't matter. Isla. The days that followed developed a strange rhythm. Marcus regained his strength with preternatural speed, though the silver wounds still troubled him. Isla watched him with the children and saw a side of him that didn't match the deadly warrior who'd crawled to her door. He was gentle, patient. When Mira had nightmares, he held her and sang old lullabies in a language Isla didn't recognize. When Eli asked about their mother, Marcus answered honestly but carefully, never lying, never giving false hope. Mama is with the moon now, he told his son, stroking the boy's dark hair. She's watching over us. She made sure we got somewhere safe. To Isla, Eli said solemnly. Marcus's eyes found hers across the room. Yes, to Isla. Something warm unfurled in her chest, and Isla quickly looked away. But she couldn't escape his presence. The cottage was small, and Marcus seemed to fill every space. She'd wake to find him watching the tree line, alert for danger. She'd turn from cooking to discover him teaching the twins to read using her old books. She'd reach for something on a high shelf only to find him already there, handing it to her, his fingers brushing hers. You don't have to stay in the shadows, she told him one evening after the children were asleep. They sat by the fire, the crackling flames the only sound. I have wards around this place. Old magic. Anyone looking for you won't sense you here. You're magic. He watched her with those penetrating eyes. It's unusual, stronger than it should be for a rogue wolf. Isla stiffened. That's none of your concern. Everything about you concerns me now. His voice dropped lower, intimate in the firelight. You saved my children's lives, Isla. You saved mine. That creates a debt I can never repay. I don't want repayment. I know. That's what makes you remarkable. He leaned forward, and suddenly he was too close, his presence overwhelming. When this is over, when it's safe, I want you to come with us. Isla's heart stuttered. What? You're alone here, isolated. What happens when your supplies run out? When winter comes? When? He stopped himself, jaw clenching. You deserve better than exile. This isn't exile. This is choice. But even as she said it, Isla felt the loneliness of years pressing down on her. When had she last laughed with friends? Celebrated anything? Belonged anywhere? Marcus reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, his fingers brushed her cheek, feather-light. Then choose us. The moment shattered as Mira screamed. They both lunged for the children's room. Mira was sitting up in bed, pointing at the window with a shaking hand. Papa, the bad men. I saw them. Marcus was at the window in an instant, peering into the darkness. Isla felt it then, the breach in her wards. Impossible. Unless. How many know about this place? Marcus demanded, his entire demeanor shifting. The gentle father vanished, replaced by something cold and lethal. No one. I made sure. Isla's blood ran cold. There's only one person who knew where I went. Marcus turned slowly. Who? My cousin. He's the beater of the Crescent Moon Pack. He helped me disappear 5 years ago when I. She shook her head. That doesn't matter. He wouldn't betray me. Everyone betrays everyone when the price is right. Marcus's voice was hard. We need to leave. Now. They moved fast. Isla grabbed her healing supplies and what food she could carry. Marcus dressed the still groggy children in warm clothes, his movements efficient despite his lingering injuries. There's a tunnel, Isla said. Under the pantry. It leads to a cave system in the mountains. We can. The door exploded inward. Wolves poured through, 5, 6, 7 of them. All in fighting form, all bearing the mark of the Crescent Moon Pack. And leading them was a man Isla recognized. Hello, cousin. Thoron smiled, and it was the cruelest thing Isla had ever seen. Thank you for keeping our runaway king safe. King. The word hit Isla like a physical blow. She turned to Marcus. No, not Marcus. The man she'd been sheltering, growing close to, wasn't just any wolf. He was the Alpha King, the ruler of all packs, the most powerful werewolf alive. And she'd been falling for him. Theron's eyes glittered with malice. Did you really think those brats could hide forever, brother? That you could abandon your throne and responsibility? He gestured, and his wolves advanced. The council has already declared you dead. I'm the Alpha King now. And your heirs. He looked at the children with undisguised contempt. They're loose ends. Marcus, the Alpha King, stepped in front of his children, and the air itself seemed to vibrate with his power. Even weakened, even outnumbered, he was terrifying. You'll have to go through me. That's the plan. Theron's grin widened. Though I admit, I'm curious what you promised the healer to get her to hide you. Isla always was naive about trust. His gaze slid to her, and Isla saw murder in his eyes. Betraying your own blood for him. That's going to cost you. Isla stepped forward, her own wolf rising. Magic crackled along her skin, the wild, untamed power she'd hidden for 5 years. You have no idea what I'm capable of, Thoron. Show me. The first wolf lunged, and the cottage erupted into chaos. Isla's magic lashed out, throwing 2 wolves back against the walls. Marcus moved like lightning despite his injuries, his claws ripping through one attacker's throat before spinning to face another. But there were too many. Thoron hung back, watching with cold satisfaction as his wolves circled closer. Mira and Eli huddled together, screaming. Then Isla felt it, the surge of ancient power welling up from deep within the earth. Her wards hadn't just been breached. They'd been activated. Someone else was coming. Thoron felt it too. His confident smile faltered. What did you do? Isla didn't answer. Because she didn't know. The ground began to shake. Trees outside bent at impossible angles. And through the shattered door walked a figure cloaked in shadows and moonlight. A woman with silver hair and eyes that glowed white. You dare spill blood on sacred ground. The woman's voice echoed with otherworldly power. You dare threaten my chosen. Marcus's sharp intake of breath was audible. The Moon Oracle. The oracle's gaze swept the room and settled on Isla with something like satisfaction. Did you really think I saved you 5 years ago just to let you rot in isolation, child? You're the Alpha King's true mate. His guardian. His salvation. Her smile was ancient and knowing. And you, Thoron, your treason ends now. But before anyone could move, Thoron pulled something from his pocket. A vial of viscous black liquid. Isla's blood froze. Shadowbane, the only poison that could kill even an Alpha King. If I can't have the throne, Thoron snarled, no one will. He hurled the vial straight at Marcus. Time seemed to slow. Isla saw the trajectory, saw Marcus turning to shield his children, saw the moment he realized he couldn't dodge and protect them both. She was moving before thought, her body acting on pure instinct. Magic exploded from her hands as she threw herself between Marcus and the poison. The vial shattered against an invisible barrier inches from her palms, the Shadowbane evaporating harmlessly. Isla stood there, her hands glowing with silver light, breathing hard. Around her, the very air shimmered with power she'd suppressed her entire life. Marcus stared at her, understanding dawning in his golden eyes. You're not just his mate. You're a moon-blessed. Thoron backed toward the door, fear finally cracking his composure. This isn't over. It is. The oracle raised one hand, and Theron's wolves collapsed unconscious. Thoron himself froze mid-step, held by invisible force. You'll face the council for your crimes. And Isla. The oracle turned to her with ancient eyes. Your choice begins now. Accept your destiny, or condemn him and his children to endless war. Isla looked at Marcus, at the man who'd shown her gentleness despite his pain, who loved his children fiercely, who'd somehow slipped past every wall she'd built around her heart. Some choice, she whispered. Marcus reached for her hand, and when their fingers intertwined, power sang between them, a connection so profound it took her breath away. I won't force this, he said quietly. I won't force you to be something you're not ready to be. But Isla, I choose you. Throne or no throne, power or no power, I choose you. Mira and Eli pressed against her legs, their small hands gripping her skirt. Don't leave us, Isla, Mira pleaded. Please. The oracle watched, waiting. Isla took a shaky breath, feeling the weight of destiny settling on her shoulders like a crown she'd never wanted. A howl split the night, distant but unmistakable. Then another, and another. The oracle's expression darkened. They're coming. The Shadow Court has sensed the power surge. They know the Alpha King lives, and they know what you are, Isla. Her voice turned urgent. You must decide now. Will you run and hide as you've always done? Or will you stand and fight for the family you've found? Outside, the howls grew closer. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds. Marcus squeezed her hand, his eyes fierce and desperate and full of something that looked dangerously like love. Whatever you choose, we face it together. Isla looked at the children clinging to her, at the man who'd stumbled into her life covered in blood and desperation, at the power thrumming through her veins that she'd denied for so long. She'd spent 5 years hiding from her destiny. Maybe it was time to stop running. She raised her head, meeting the oracle's ancient gaze, and opened her mouth to speak. What happens next? Will Isla embrace her destiny as the Alpha King's mate and protector? Can they survive the Shadow Court's assault? And what secrets about Isla's past will the oracle reveal? Subscribe to the Story King to discover the fate of the Alpha King and his moon-blessed mate. Your kingdom of stories awaits.